Welcome back to the Oakwell Update. This evening we come to you live from Oakwell as our under-18s take on Carlisle in the FA Youth Cup. As always, I'm Holly Tandy.
And I'm Callum Cooper. Tonight we will be looking back and having a recap on an amazing Friday night under the lights here at Oakwell, looking ahead to Cambridge United at the weekend and having a little chat with a proper Barnsley legend who's having a massive influence on our academy at the moment.
So Callum, let's start with Friday. What an evening. A 2-0 win in a local derby with goals from John Russell and Stephen Humphreys. Nearly 15,000 at Oakwell to witness it too. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, unbelievable. An unbelievable evening. Such a convincing performance and result as well from Barnsley. And a needed win at home as well, really. You know, I never like to say it was a must-win at home at this stage of the season, but Barnsley, we all know about the Reds being so successful away from home, and the players and coaching staff have said themselves that they wanted to improve that home record in front of the fans at Oakwell, improve the performances, and that is exactly what they did. They were fantastic. They were really fantastic, so in control from the start until the finish, and realistically, you know, no disrespect to the opposition, didn't give Rotherham a sniff, to be honest, and their fans sounded their discontent really with their performance, and I think that was largely down to how Barnsley restricted them. You know, restricted the space, didn't allow Rotherham to do anything going forward, often forcing them backwards, and the way Barnsley kept hold of the ball, the passages of play, particularly in the second half when we were 1-0 up and had that bit of respite, it was fantastic. And the fact that not only have we, you know, got the goal, played well, but getting that second goal was massive as well. In a game like that, a local derby, you never know what could happen. Barnsley were well in control. I didn't think there was anything really. You know, Rotherham were nowhere near Barnsley on the night for me. But there's always that risk, isn't there, in a game like that, a tight game like that, a big crowd, big atmosphere, that when the score is 1-0, there's always that chance of the opposition nicking something, a set piece, a scrappy goal, anything like that. Rotherham, a big physical side under Steve Evans, you know, he likes to play like that, and anything could have happened. So we had chances, it didn't come, you know, heads could have dropped, that did not happen whatsoever. The Reds carried on. I mean, we hit the crossbar, I think, from an Adam Phillips effort. Davies Keeler-Dunn had a close range effort saved. So we scored 2 goals that were ruled out as well. So a lot of things weren't going Barnsley's way. And like I said, heads could have dropped, but they absolutely didn't. They carried on battling, eventually got that all-important second goal, and that really killed off the game, didn't it? And rightfully so as well. It was a performance that deserved that win, and we could have had 4 or 5 really on the night, but we'll take the 2, we'll take the 3 points in a big local derby, and that's massive for the team and massive for Darryl Clark as well. He'll be buzzing with that.
And of course, I mean, it's great to be sat in this position again another week on, saying that the form's better, that everything's looking a lot nicer, and that we're obviously climbing the table as well. How do we sustain this moving forward, Callum, and in your opinion? And, you know, what's going to kind of be that key, do you think, to promotion?
Well, I mean, playing the way they're playing at the moment is certainly the key. We're just looking for that consistency, and Barnsley is showing that at the moment. We've spoke about it week by week, haven't we, on the podcast, of course. It seems that sort of extra time on the training ground at the last international break has really, really helped the team. I don't want to keep saying the same things, but it really is. It really, for me, that seems to be a massive, massive point of the season where, come the end of the season, we'll look back at that and think, whatever was done there has really made a massive impact. And they're just going from strength to strength every week. You know, questions could have still been asked from critics over the opposition and things like that. But going into the game on Friday night, I don't think anything can be said about that. The form book goes completely out the window in a local derby, and anything can happen whatsoever. Yeah. And that's a massive win. I mean, Rotherham at the start of the season were tipped to be promoted. You know, they were tipped to do really, really well in this league. Getting Steve Evans in, who'd done well at Stevenage last season. He's been at Rotherham before and created a successful team. They brought in a lot of experience early on in the summer. They got the business done early, so they are well equipped to be a good side in this division, Rotherham, and Barnsley brushed them aside. So in terms of answering your question, hopefully Barnsley can just continue to do that, and they're doing that at the moment, keeping this momentum. You know, games come thick and fast in this division, and that probably suits the Reds at the moment. They are winning. They're winning games. They're picking up points, and Darryl Clark will believe this as well, that that's the best thing that can happen at the moment for Barnsley. Keep playing, keep winning, and you can see the camaraderie, the team spirit. It's really, really high at the moment, and that's massive in this division. It really, really is massive in League One to have a team playing for each other, playing for the manager, fighting for each other, fighting for every ball, and I think you can see that on the pitch.
And that's what the fans want as well, right? Yeah. As a fan, as we both are, you want to see them fighting for it. You want to see the passion. But in terms of Darryl, he's really settled into his role, hasn't he? And do you think that that's something that's really benefiting the team right now? I think that, there's obviously any time a new manager comes in, there's question marks, and, you need to allow them that time to settle in. Do you think he's really kind of bedded himself in now?
I think it's clear as day to see that now, yeah. When a new manager comes to a club, and in particular with Barnsley's last couple of seasons, 2 playoff finishers, another manager coming in the third season in League One, it's going to be under the spotlight from fans, from people outside of the club. Everyone's looking in and sort of hyper-analysing what's going on. And look, everybody at the club at the time, I think Barnsley were in an 11th position in the league, and everybody voiced their opinions on that, saying it's not where anyone wants to be. Of course it's not, particularly in League One. Barnsley want to be pushing the top end, and it's really changed from that moment. And as you say, he's really settled in. You can see with the identity, the style of play that's on display, the players totally understand what they're expecting. And I think now we're really seeing what we expected from a Barnsley team under Darryl Clarke. He was obviously at Cheltenham last season and did a fantastic job there. He's had success with teams in the past in League Two, getting promotion and done well in this division. So there was no doubting his ability as a manager whatsoever. And it's now showing on the pitch, in the performances and in the results. And yeah, I don't think myself and the rest of the Barnsley fans at the moment, we couldn't be happier. It's great. Goals from all over the team. It's really, really positive. And we're seeing, I think, for me, pretty much the start, the brewing, the makings of a really, really strong League One team.
One man who is more than used to the great evenings at Oakwell is club legend and current under-21s coach Nicky Eaden, who joins us live on the Oakwell Update tonight. Firstly, Nicky, you've been back at the club for around 2 years. How have you found it being back?
It's been great being back. It's like, coming back home and back where it all started for me.
And from a coaching standpoint, how has that been for you? Obviously going from being the footballer yourself to putting your knowledge on the young people. How have you found that?
That's why I went into coaching, really. I've done all sorts. I've done first team stuff, 21s, 18s, and you find, the younger ones, the 18-year-olds or the lads that are turning pro. You can pass on your knowledge of how you came through that system.
Of course, and obviously a couple of seasons ago you were working with the under-18s, a really successful group as well. It was a fantastic year. Now with the 21s as well, what's it like working with that group?
Well, I've worked at that level before, at a couple of clubs. 18s is a bit more structured. You get, your team's pretty settled most weeks, whereas the under-21s, it's that in-between group, and you're there to help the first team out. So you haven't always got regular numbers for training. You haven't always got the same team week in, week out, but it makes you more adaptable as a coach and you crack on.
Of course, and you worked for the 18s in the past. I'm sure you're still keeping a keen eye on them, of course. And we're here tonight ahead of the Youth Cup game for the under-18s. Is there any out of them at the moment that are currently standing out for you?
Yeah, well, the second years, I had them last year. A couple of lads played regular for me and Leite, like Sir Keith and Luke, the strikers. But a decent group, good group to work with.
So obviously, Nicky, aside from your extensive career in football and now being back at the club, you also run a pub, which is Eden's Bar. And you don't just run the pub, there's also lots of events going on there, live artists singing, and you also raise money for charity. I know that your daughter is currently up for a Pride of Barnsley award for raising up to £10,000 for various charities. You must be really proud of her.
Yeah, you said, I run a bar. I don't. My daughter runs a bar for me. Yeah, just something we decided to do. My daughter had run a couple of bars down in Birmingham before we moved back up here, and opportunity came up, and we just thought, why not? I'm fresh into it, even though I've spent quite a bit of time in pubs over the years. But we just wanted, it's a family business, me and the kids, and we just want to put stuff on, so we do live music every week, and then we've got the Sunday sesh. We started off really small, and that's grown and grown. So we've been doing it probably about 18 months now, the Sunday sesh.
So I know you say it's your daughter that obviously runs the pub, but there must be great benefits to being able to pull your own pint. Did you know how to pull a pint before you got the bar?
No, but it didn't take me long to learn.
Plenty of watching it happen in front of you, eh? So back to the football, I'll let you.
Yeah, so going back to your playing career, of course, we spoke about the coaching. You amassed 300 appearances for Barnsley, including time playing in the Premier League. But it was quite a battle for you to get your first pro contract. Do you want to just talk us through your memories of that, really?
I got knocked back a couple of times. I didn't get offered a YTS at 16, so I went to sixth form college. Eventually got back into the youth team, managed to get pro, had a couple of years at pro, almost made the first team pretty early on, but then I don't know what happened really. The manager took a dislike to me, and eventually got a free transfer, with 2 games of the season left, and then luckily for me, possibly right place, right time, the manager got the sack, and I got another year's contract, and that's when Viv and Danny Wilson came in.
And of course, you really progressed and enjoyed your time under Danny Wilson and promotion to the Premier League. Just talk us through that, because I mean, we as Barnsley fans know just how amazing it was, but to experience that as a player at the time, it must have been just amazing.
I think at the time you didn't really, I'm not saying you didn't appreciate it, but you didn't kind of realise how big a thing it was. And even going up to the last game again, the game that we got promoted against Bradford, you always felt, I did anyway, in the back of my mind that something could go wrong. But to achieve it, and it's more so now, you get lads coming who are similar age to me, who experienced it as fans. It's, I'm not saying it's once in a lifetime, but, it might never happen again.
Were it a difficult decision for you to leave Barnsley and join Birmingham in 2000?
Yeah, because obviously I'm probably about 27 at that point. I'd been offered a new 3-year deal here, but I kind of saw the direction the club was going in. The parachute payments had stopped. We were going to lose our better players. Like Sir Craig Ignat were leaving, and you sort of wondered at that stage of my career. I was sort of at 27, you're kind of in your prime. I still wanted to achieve things in my career. So yeah, it was a really difficult decision. I'd got choices to go to Chef Wens in Huddersfield, but I couldn't have played for either of those 2 clubs. So it was Birmingham.
And did you think you'd always come back to the club? Was that something that you always had one eye on? Whether it might have been a player, I know that didn't happen, but in terms of coming back and being a coach, is that something that you always thought you could see yourself returning to Barnsley potentially?
Yeah, once I decided to go down the coaching route, I always, hoped I could get back, and I wish I could have got back sooner than it's happened, but that's football. It throws up, and it's time, right place, and thankfully I've managed to get back.
And Nicky, you touched a little bit there on the highs and lows of football. What kind of advice would you give to young footballers? I mean, even now, in the role that you're in, I imagine that it's the kind of thing that you do on a daily, being back at the club, but can you just kind of give us a little bit of an insight into those highs and lows throughout your career and how you overcome them for the young people watching?
It's your reaction to setbacks. So you could say you get setbacks throughout the season, you get setbacks throughout the 90 minutes on a Saturday or whenever you play. And you have to sort of reset very quickly and move on. You end up developing very thick skin. That helps you to deal with things. I suppose a lot of it comes down to your personality. I'm a very laid-back character off the pitch. But
horizontal.
I know, but obviously I couldn't allow that to transmit onto the pitch.
Yeah.
And linking sort of your experiences to the current first team, you've enjoyed promotions at Barnsley, Wigan, Birmingham in your career. Can you see what qualities those teams had in the current first team here at Barnsley? Do you think they've got what it takes to achieve those things?
Not at the moment, because I think obviously with a new manager coming in, there's been changes, and I think it's taken a little bit of time to get a settled team for the manager. The last couple of performances, or last 2 or 3, You've seen it's been a bit more settled and a bit more togetherness. But I don't think the league's settled down yet.
Yeah, of course. And just staying with the first team for a second, Mile Di Givigne, obviously Barnsley centre-half, he's currently on a run of games of playing the last 51, I believe it is, every single minute of those last 51 games as well in a Barnsley shirt. The only player to have done that more is yourself, having done that some decades ago. 84, I believe it was, your run. Yeah. What do you make of that? It's an incredible one for Mile, of course, but it's something that you could certainly champion yourself on as well.
But that's all you wanted to do. You wanted to play. You wanted to start games. You didn't want to get brought off. I wish it could have gone longer. I think the consecutive starts. I think I got well over 100. And that's what I guess that's kind of what I like as a player, consistent. And you're there to do your job week in, week out.
And finally from me, I'm not sure if you've got another question, Callum, but obviously you've played with a lot of Barnsley legends back in the day. If you were to bring one player back now, in the peak of their fitness, that you played with back then, who would it be and why?
I think it'd have to be Redders. He was the skipper here. He led by example. He'd get you double figures in goals from midfield. He'd dominate, not dominate possession in midfield, but he'd run the midfield in a lot of games. I think he was a very underrated player. I used to train with him every day, technically, 2-footed, score left foot, right foot, get himself forward, get in the box, but he'd do the other side of the game as well. I think just as an all-round, but the other two would be possibly John Hendry and Craig Ignat, but I think Redders just would offer more all-round.
Yeah, and just finally from me, we've spoke about your playing career at Barnsley and other clubs as well. And back to the coaching, sort of the post-football era, the playing football for you. Was it coaching that you naturally saw yourself going to? I mean, your coaching career has taken you as far as Jamaica. I mean, that's an interesting thing in itself, of course.
Yeah. I think it was just a natural progression. And obviously since probably 18, it's all I've ever known. I looked at other things. Nothing materialised, so I just decided to go down the coaching route, got myself qualified, and it just kind of went from there, really.
And in terms of Jamaica, just talk us through that, because that sounds
no Yorkshire
great.
puddings there,
no,
is
of course
there?
not, of course not.
Dumplings. No, again, that just opportunity came up. I'd been doing a bit of sort of coaching and managing in non-league, working as a landscape gardener at the same time, so I got the phone call off Dave Bassett, because it was a mate of his, Wally Downs, had got a job out there and they needed some English coaches, so instead of putting concrete fence posts in, I decided to go to the Caribbean.
I don't blame you whatsoever. Well, we'll not take up any more of your time, Nicky. It's been fantastic to have you with us on the Oakwell Update, and good luck ahead of tonight's game.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
Thank you. So it's Cambridge United up next, and while the table says that they're in the relegation zone, it's been a big turn in fortunes recently under Gary Monk.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's that sort of thing where the table doesn't really tell the full story at the moment for Cambridge United, Barnsley's next opponents. They've obviously had a change in manager with Monk coming in, as you say, and 4 wins on the bounce prior to last weekend. So, they're a side really that have definitely changed their season around. I know it's still early days, of course, but it's certainly not one that you can look at and get complacent from, really. And I'm sure the players aren't doing that. I'm sure Darryl Clark's not allowing that to happen whatsoever. He'll totally understand that. I mean, Gary Monk has obviously managed a couple of clubs in the local area. Obviously, it's different times, but he'll know everything to expect from a Barnsley team. Stereotypically that they'll give everything to come away with a result, particularly away from home as well. Barnsley at the moment. Barnsley are fantastic, aren't they? They really are. We obviously spoke about the home form and how big of a win it was on Friday night to really kickstart that. But away from home, Barnsley aren't having any issues, are they? I think they're actually ranked top of the away league table because their away form is fantastic. 15 points, I think it is, off the top of my head, that they've managed to accrue away from home this season.
So early as well to be getting them 15.
Exactly,
so
that's unbelievable. That's fantastic. So, any side that are hosting Barnsley are certainly going to be concerned and doing that extra little bit of preparation, because it's so difficult to play them away from home. Barnsley, for a few seasons now, really, have just managed to click, hasn't it? The style of play really, really has worked. But that doesn't mean that it's an easy game on Saturday. Absolutely not. You know, Cambridge, as we've mentioned, they've turned a bit of a corner. They've got experienced players as well, the likes of Kachunga, Kai as well. Some players that you know, really know the division, not only this division, but higher up as well. They've got quality, and they'll know how to win games. They'll know how to scrap at the bottom of the league and scrape points, scrape results. So it's definitely going to be difficult, but I'm certainly confident, and we've got to be at the moment because of how well Barnsley are playing, but particularly away from home, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And even you look at the strength in depth that the Reds have got. Stephen Humphreys, you know, he could start any given Saturday, couldn't he? He came off the bench on Friday night and got that wonderful goal on his left foot.
I know.
There's options from the bench, even whether it's in defence and Barnsley need to fetch a player on. Donovan Pines, you know, on the bench, he's someone that can come on and help Barnsley to defend the lead. Barnsley are chasing, like I say, they've got options going forward as well. So it's going to be a tough game, of course. It absolutely is. I wouldn't want to look at the league table and think, oh, Barnsley are in the playoffs now. We're playing a team in the relegation zone. Oh, it's an easy 3 points. That's
you can't
never
be
the case.
too confident,
No,
can you?
That's never the case whatsoever. And it's never the case anyway, but to look at it in more detail, Cambridge are on a decent run. The last result wasn't fantastic, albeit I think they lost 6-1. It wasn't the worst performance, funnily enough, but there wasn't. It was a really poor result from them. Hopefully that's maybe just knocked away that sort of momentum that they had potentially going into the Reds game at the weekend, but regardless of that, they've certainly been improved in their performances in the last few weeks. So it'll be a game on Saturday, but hopefully Barnsley can come out on top.
Last time we faced Cambridge was a tough afternoon back in March as our season crumbled, ending in a 2-0 defeat. However, our last time at the Abbey was October last year and it ended 4-0 to the Reds. Goals from Mile, Max, Big John and Nicky Eaden.
Well, Cambridge have only been beaten once in their 5 games here at Abbey Stadium in the league so far this season. Barnsley looking to get on the front foot to make up for that disappointing result at the weekend. The cross clipped in, chance to open the scoring, and it's a chance which is taken by Nicky Eaden. Fabulous finish, and just the start that Barnsley were looking for here tonight from this set piece. Corner whipped in, and Barnsley double their lead with more than a bit of good fortune. Mail de Givenet. Well, what a moment for him. His first ever goal in football. Approaching the hour mark here. And Barnsley in command, but Cambridge have started this second half well. Ball threaded through, and Waters is in, and it somehow squeezes through. 3-0 to Barnsley. In comes the cross. It'll break here. Roll back to the edge of the box and swept home in style. Wonderful finish from John Russell.
Yeah, so you're looking at that, and Barnsley have had some decent results there, of course. So hopefully we can replicate that at the weekend. But as always, let's go into our score predictions. We weren't quite successful the last time out.
You've got 2 right so far,
have, yeah.
and I've got all of them wrong, so I clearly know nothing.
Finally, I didn't get one right.
As long as they're winning, I'm happy.
Of course. We don't care how it matters. But hopefully we get it right this weekend.
Go for it.
What's your score prediction?
I'm going to say 3-1.
Oh, I'm going to go 3-0. Away clean sheet, hopefully.
Okay, then. Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you for joining us on the Oakwell Update. We've been your hosts, Holly Tandy and
Callum Cooper. Thank you.
Thank you.
You Reds.